When you move to another country, almost everything will be different. Of course, you expect that. I was excited about moving to Italy because everything will be different. I wanted to immerse myself in the culture, learn the language, and just experience life as a local. But no matter how much you love your new country and how excited you are about moving, there will always be some things that make you a little bit homesick. I moved to Italy from the US about 5 years ago, and 3 years ago, I made a video about some of the things that I miss the most. I've been revisiting that list, and I still miss a lot of the same things, so I'm pretty sure that I always will. Just so you know, this does not negate my feelings about living in Italy. I still love this country. I share plenty of videos about why I love living in Italy, but I don't think it's wrong to feel a fondness and have good memories of the place that you're from. It's part of the whole experience. If you're also living abroad and you share some of the same feelings, I want you to know that you're not alone. And if you're thinking of moving abroad, just keep in mind, you'll never really be able to replicate and your lifestyle from wherever you're from. After living in Italy for 5 years now, these are the top 4 things that I still miss about living in the US and how I somehow managed to cope without them. I just realized there's 2 things from the original list that didn't make it this time around. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll talk about what those 2 things are and why I don't really miss them anymore. And these are in no particular order. Number 1 is convenience culture. I think it's a little bit out of control in the US, or it used to be, how a lot of stores were open 24 hours a day, drive-thrus, fast food restaurants, all of those things I don't really care about. What I do miss is regular business hours, just being straight through the day and not having to check the time every time you want to run an errand or make an appointment. In the US, it's very common to take your lunch break from work and instead of eating lunch, going on errands like a dentist appointment or going to pick up a few things at the pharmacy or the grocery store. But in Italy, most businesses shut down every day for at least 2 hours. And that's because the most important meal of the day in Italy is lunch. Lunch is so important that it's actually a verb in Italian. Everyone takes time for lunch, but the effect of that is everything closes during those lunch hours. So you can't really do anything else. You can't run errands. You can't make appointments because everyone's having lunch. And that's actually really nice. It just takes a lot more planning. This is especially true for government offices. For example, your local post office is usually only open between about 8:30 and 1:30 in the afternoon. So if you don't get there early enough, you're out of luck. The good thing about the post office, though, is that you can make an appointment, so it's not as hard to get in and out of there once you're there during the correct hours. The lunch thing, that took a long time for me to get used to because when I first got here, I was working remotely and I finished work at 2:30 p.m. And lunch hours, strictly in restaurants, are from 12 to 3. If you go into a restaurant at 2:30 or 2:45, you will not be seated. You really have to be on top of the time if you want to get lunch, even takeout. It's really hard to get anything between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. when everything opens for dinner. But in the US, I used to work at restaurants and we would stay open even if there was very few people coming in. A lot of families like to have dinner early. A lot of people just are having lunch later. It's just completely normal. In the US, you can always find something open throughout the day. I miss that convenience in the US, and I know a lot of it comes from this working mindset. A lot of people don't even take lunch, or they'll just eat really fast at their desks and just work through it. But here, I think they care more about making sure that everyone has a break. So I completely understand, and I've gotten used to it. And how I deal with it is really just planning. I always have food in my house in case I need to get something to eat and it's too late to go out to lunch and too early for dinner. I cook most of my meals anyway, but I'll always miss American convenience culture. Number 2 is food variety. This is a big one for me, and don't get me wrong, Italian food is amazing. The produce, everything is really fresh. I love to cook, so it's really great to be able to source ingredients, but I can't eat Italian food every single day. Where I'm from in LA, which is a huge melting pot, people from all over the world live there. I grew up eating Mexican food, later started trying different types of food from around the world. I really love Asian food. We do have Asian food in Italy, some Chinese restaurants, and a lot of sushi places. Again, even those places are they cook the food based on what Italians like. For example, if you go and get Indian food in Italy, it's just not going to have the same spiciness. Thai food is not going to have the same flavor. There's a few Thai restaurants in Turin, and one of them is a noodle place that I go to. I knew something was different about the noodle. It wasn't quite authentic, and I tried to figure out what it was, and I asked them if they use fish sauce, which is a main ingredient in Thai food. And they said, we have it, but we don't usually use it because Italians don't like it. So every time I go there, I have to ask them to add the fish sauce because that makes the dish more authentic. So in LA, we had a different neighborhood for every type of food. There was Thai Town, Koreatown, Little Tokyo, almost every single culture in the world was represented. But I just got used to having easy access to just so many different flavors and so much international cuisine. And I really think that I'll always miss that. And how I deal with it now is I've learned how to cook a lot of my favorite Thai dishes. In Turin, I found some good international markets where I can find all the right spices, curry paste, coconut milk, and I've taught myself how to cook a lot of the things that I get cravings for. Isn't it weird that Asian noodles and Italian pasta have basically the same ingredients, but the flavors couldn't be more different? Anyway, I definitely find myself cooking more Asian than Italian food at home. Don't tell the food police. There does seem to be more and more international foods coming to Turin. That's one of the reasons that I lived in a bigger city versus a small town. If you have this dream of living in a small village on a hilltop somewhere, you will not find anything else besides Italian food. Just keep that in mind. Stick to the bigger cities if you want some variety. Number 3 for me, this is one I think that every immigrant has to deal with. I miss my family and my friends back home, and that's something that you really can't replace. Of course, I've made new friends and I have a good community here, but you're never going to replace those people that you knew and that knew you from your home country. I miss them now and I always will. Luckily, with technology these days, it's really easy to keep in touch, so I talk to them at least once a week. I thought I would go home a lot more often than I have because it really is super expensive, even when you're traveling with just one person. I do try to go back at least once a year. There are some occasions that you will miss, and that's the reality and the downside of moving to another country. It's just something that you always have to deal with. It doesn't really get easier, but kind of get used to it, and you appreciate those moments that you do have, even if it's on the phone, even if it's those brief visits. I'm lucky a lot of my friends have come and visited. My sister and I met up in Spain a few years back. I do have people that come and visit, but of course not everyone can. Friends and family just really can't be replaced. Number 4 is another silly one. I don't know how to explain it. I want to say discount stores, but not like Dollar Tree, like Nordstrom Rack, TJ Maxx, or Home Goods for home decor. All of these stores I used to love because I love a good deal. I've always been a thrifty person and I like nice things, but they're usually out of my budget. And yes, I realize that Italy is known for its fashion, but unfortunately, I've had trouble finding anything in between really high-end luxury and the same fast fashiony stores like H&M and Zara. And Italian stores are only allowed to do really deep discounts or really big sales twice a year. It's just not as easy to find discounts. You really have to search. I have found some good options for mid-range kitchenware and home decor. So I've been able to live without Home Goods, thankfully. And Italian thrift stores are really great for vintage cookware and furniture. But for clothes and shoes, it's really hit or miss. So every time I go back to the US, I make sure to bring a bag that's half empty so I can get my yearly fix of shopping at my favorite stores. As promised, here are the 2 things that were on my original list in 2022 that are no longer there because I don't really miss them anymore. The first one, really quick, is air conditioning. I know a lot of Americans complain about the lack of AC in European countries, but I'm here to tell you, if you're planning to move and that's your big fear, your body does adapt. And I don't know if it's because I'd only been here a few years and I just returned from the US where AC was just prevalent everywhere. But I don't know. I've never had AC in my home here. It only gets hot for a few weeks in Turin. Also, the apartments and buildings here are a lot more insulated than the ones I grew up in and the ones I was used to in Southern California. So in general, your inside your apartment does not get as hot as the outside, and there's ways of cooling down. And I'll talk about those in another video about different ways that I cool down even without AC in the summer. I haven't made it yet, but when I do, I will link it here. culture. I think in general, your body just starts to adapt. If you don't have it all the time, then your perception of what is really, really hot and cool enough starts to shift. I think that's kind of cool. I don't like to be dependent on it anyway. It uses a lot of energy. And it wasn't one of the top things that popped up when I was thinking of the things I really miss about the US. So yeah, the second one was customer service. And that one really surprised me that it didn't pop into my head as something that I crave anymore. I was trying to think about why, and I think it's for a few reasons. The first time that I made this whole list of things that I miss, I had, again, just returned from the US. My Italian skills were not that high at the time, so I really felt awkward going into any sort of customer service situation. I think that was part of the reason that I was uncomfortable. I maybe just wasn't used to the style of customer service here, but now I don't know. In general, the culture, Italians are very friendly and there is good customer service here. So I'm taking back my original claim that people were very brusque with me. Maybe I was perceived as a tourist back then, which fair. Now I just feel like people are friendlier, or maybe I've changed a little bit and I speak better Italian. So my effort is perceived a little bit more. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't really bother me. And also I feel like when I went back to the US the last couple times, I didn't feel the need for that, fake small talk that you get at the cashier when they say, "How are you? How was your day?" And I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that all the time as an introvert. I'm better suited to the European, more hands-off style of customer service. In a way, I think that over-the-top service, it can be kind of false and kind of annoying. I don't really miss that. So I'm proud. There's a few things that I've dropped off the list, and hopefully the next time I do this, a few more things will drop off and I'll become even more European. Once again, I don't want to detract from how much I love Italy, but I just wanted to share and to let you know, if you're living abroad and you feel sort of guilty for missing some things about your home country, and you feel like you're not integrating enough, or that something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. And even though I have Italian citizenship, I will never stop being American. That's where I really became who I am. I don't think it's wrong to miss some of the things that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel more at home, even if it's just silly, like the convenience of going to a restaurant at 3 o'clock or going to the post office at 3 o'clock. You can appreciate your new country, and at the same time, you'll always have a place in your heart for some things from your home country. Thanks for watching, and remember, you only get one life, so start living it.